Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me all right. Well, how you doing? How's everybody doing today? I don't have a set topic, so we will find one. Had a lot of things going on um, this week. We had Severance came to a conclusion, and it was not thoroughly disappointing. It was partially disappointing, but we talked about that in the Discord. And we were supposed to have a discussion, film discussion today on Days of Thunder, Nicole Kidman's final piece of the puzzle, but we are putting that off to next week. So so that's happening next week. We're going to be discussing life on Mars on Saturdays since we finished Severance. We're going to be talking about life on Mars because life on Mars I talked about this in a live chat some time ago, a lot of truth bombs and a lot of, let me know you're here. If you're here, say hi. Life on Mars has a lot of truth bombs, and I was just watching an episode yesterday, and I shared about like two things in that one episode that were pretty powerful truth bombs. So we just want to talk about it a bit. But also what's coming up is Black Mirror season, 7 or 8? And this season is looking pretty interesting. It's primarily focused around dreams, truth in plain sight. So we might be discussing that as well. I've been watching White Lotus. I'm hesitant to watch season 3 because I have heard some really weird things about season 3. Anybody here watching White Lotus? The first 2 seasons, they were okay, but I was kind of left wondering, like, what is this show about? And the first season, they were kind of dropping some feminist propaganda, leftist propaganda in there. Kind of got a little bit annoyed by that. But then they also sort of seemed to paint the men in a very negative light. And some of the women too, but, some of the men especially. And I'm hearing even worse things in season 3. But the end of season 2 kind of disappointed me. But anyway, I don't really watch the show for esoteric insights. It's more of a eye candy kind of thing. And then, I'm not sure I'm going to do season 3. But yeah, Black Mirror coming up looks pretty fascinating. And I think that's worth discussing. So we're going to be talking about that. Following Nicole Kidman, Days of Thunder, and the film discussion group, we're going to be moving on to Steven Spielberg movies. We're going to be looking at it from the perspective of a film director instead of an actor, which is going to be interesting because I haven't done that before, but the same sort of theory and practice applies, that you cannot escape who you are. We have now in the film discussion group talked about Nicole Kidman, Jennifer Connelly, Will Smith, Donald Sutherland, and there was somebody else. So we have looked at these actors and seen multiple films chosen at random, and their symbols stand out across the board, and they're all unique. So this is really powerful information that we're finding in this discussion group. Highly recommend it, because you get some hands-on experience in decoding in a fun and safe environment with people who are like-minded, and you have practical application of seeing what I talk about right in front of you, and you're part of it. You need to be part of it. You need to be part of the process. So the film discussion group, highly recommend it. If you want some more information, you can find it on my website, truelove.com. The O is a 0. Links are in the description. And yeah, so that's what's going on at the moment. Today, what I want to talk about today. Last week we talked about non-duality, and I really found that discussion very insightful and helpful. I was a little frustrated with what I was seeing about that, and so this week I am feeling a little bit frustrated by a lot of the lies. All I'm seeing in my feed on YouTube and Twitter are lies and nonsense, and people talking about weirdness and making up things, like the Egyptian pyramid nonsense. And I'm finding it very, very annoying. The other thing that I find fascinating is we have mainstream, like alternative mainstreamers like Candace Owens exposing the conspiracy stuff as if she's discovered it, like she's the first one to know. I mean, she's put out all of this whole series on Macron's wife as if she's the first person to discover that these people are inverts. And there are countless people who have been talking about this on YouTube for years. And it's great. We need somebody at her level to be talking about this stuff. All of a sudden, all the conspiracy talk is mainstream. Great. We need it. But at the same time, I'm a little disappointed that she's trying to take credit for something that other people have been talking about for a very long time. Mr. E3000, for example, all of the people talking about all of the inverts and what the elite are. All of these, like there's this guy on Twitter who puts out at least, I don't know, a handful a day talking about all of these people are inverted. So yeah, it doesn't stop at Macron's wife. And a lot of people in her comments are saying, move on to Obama and his wife. So like all of this stuff is almost practically common knowledge now, which is fascinating to me. Like, how did we get here? Well, we got here because of 2020. We got here where, like, all of this stuff I was late. I think I was late to the party in 2017, but I think it was still kind of early. But there were people who were talking about this well before 2017. But so even 2020 is not even that late, but 2020 is like the first wave tsunami of truthers after the flat earth wave, which I think I heard was around 2015. So I was even late to the party from that. But this, 2020 wave, the weirdness, waking people up, the woke agendas, this is what has started to bring about what's going on right now. And we have people we got Candace Owens talking about it. I mean, Joe Rogan is expected, right? But like the left are not talking about this stuff. It's so bizarre. The left don't want to talk about it. And then if you are listening to someone like Joe Rogan, you're crazy. Like they even talked about this on Love is Blind. There was a character on there by the name of Megan or Meg, and she mentioned aliens and Joe Rogan, and all of a sudden she's labeled as crazy because she listens to Joe Rogan. All she said was she listened to one of his podcasts, but all of a sudden she's like, well, crazy. Is anybody, are you hearing me? Okay. Say hi. Let me know you're here. It'd be great to know if you're here. Just want to make sure you're here. I can see the sound is okay here. So yeah, they make fun of people who listen to this stuff, but obviously a lot of people are listening to him because he's got a lot of subscribers. But it's not like she said that she was listening to, say, David Icke or anything, and even that's not that far off. But then you've got all of these other people on the right. Candace Owens is just one of them, but now you got Billy Bush. He's also helping out this side. You got Tucker Carlson. He's also helping out this side. All of them are suddenly talking about all the conspiracy theories as if they are true, because most of them. And the latest being the JFK files. The JFK files have come out, and all of a sudden, hey, Wookie, good to see you. Glad to see you're here. And I hope you're enjoying your break. So, yeah, all of a sudden the JFK files have come out, and we have, people are kind of disappointed that there's nothing like profoundly revolutionary in them. Now, if you have watched my channel, you're familiar with my position on the whole JFK situation. I won't get into it. It kind of annoys people because people want to believe it, and they want to believe their position on it. And sure, the official story corroborates their position on it. And of course it's going to. They're not going to tell you that it's just a movie. They're not going to say that. But, that's all it is. It's just a movie. So here we are. JFK files come out. And what do the left say? The left say that it's a distraction from Trump dismantling the Department of Education. Okay, but he told you he was going to do that, and he told you why. So why would it be a distraction? Like, arguably, he told you that was happening. It's not a secret. It's not like he's trying to cover it up. So I don't even understand why you're upset about that. Oh, because they're not going to be able to push your woke agenda anymore. Not because they actually teach you anything legitimate, because the Department of Education in the United States is just an agenda pushing organization. So here we have in Canada, we don't have like a lot of these podcasters like you do in the States covering this information. We have Jordan Peterson, and he's now, kind of like an honorary American. He's in the United States, but he's Canadian. He's outspoken. He's been ousted by the left for speaking out against the woke agenda. And he's like, he's respected by people mostly on the right. He's hated by everyone on the left and kind of demonized. So he's really the only sort of Canadian I can recall. Anybody in the chat know of anyone who's Canadian who is a well-known podcaster? And then you got like Megyn Kelly as well. And then in the UK got Piers Morgan, but he's also kind of American, isn't he? But he's in the UK. So you got all of these mainstreamers, most of them American, one UK. But in Canada, we just got this new prime minister by default because Trudeau has gone. Yay, but no, not yay, because Carney took his place and he's worse than Trudeau. And yet somehow the Liberals think that it's great. Like, oh, they weren't liking Trudeau so much, but now we got some new guy, fresh face, and we'll forget everything that he says because we just like the Liberals. And as long as it's not Trudeau, we're happy, is basically what's going on, as far as I can tell. But like, I don't like any of the politics that's going on over here in Canada. So now you got like Trump saying, oh, we're all happy with the new Liberal leader. First of all, he hated Trudeau. most people do. And he was open about it. But like, he's saying that he prefers this guy. This is alleged. This is, what I've seen in the whole Twitter sphere. He hated Trudeau, called him governor, Governor Trudeau. And then now we have a new leader who's worse than Trudeau, but Trump is okay with him. He says because he's easier to deal with than Pierre Poilievre. But like, Pierre Poilievre over here is being accused of being Trump 2.0 or Canada's version of Trump. And he's not. He should be if he wants to win, but he's not. And so we've got this replacement, and Trump is saying that he prefers the new guy because he's easier to deal with. Well, if he's easier to deal with, according to Trump, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a better leader for Canada. It just means he's easier for Trump to handle. So he will be able to get what he wants with someone like him. That's how I see it. Why would Trump doesn't care who's leading Canada. He doesn't particularly like anybody who's leading Canada. Most people who are sort of right-leaning in Canada don't like who's leading Canada or our options. So it's a little crazy. What do we got in the comments? Hello, Jack Marley. Hi. When the crowd says you're crazy, you're on the right track. Indeed. Yeah. Eternal Being. Hi. Aloha. Just getting coffee and getting started watching, catching up. Welcome. Wookie, the left and to a lesser degree, right, are palace guards for the 3D reality ego mind. Indeed, yes. Journeyman, hi. Yeah, like I was watching Life on Mars last night, season 2, episode 1, and this is a clip I shared on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, you can find me over there. If you're on Instagram, rather. I shared this clip where so Sam is the main character who's in a coma and he's kind of trapped in the 70s, but he has to find his way back home. And he enters into the cop shop while the cops are trying to get this guy to sign a piece of paper to have him committed. And so they'll send you to the funny farm because he said, I see things that other people don't. I know what this world is. It's not what they tell us it is. And so he's telling the truth. He sees the truth. And back then they would have committed you to the funny farm. Thankfully, nowadays they won't do that. Well, we got rid of the funny farm, didn't we? So, all the crazies are allowed to run free and be free range. And so, yeah, like the left and the right they're here for gatekeeping and keeping the duality battle going. It's fun. It's entertaining. That's for sure. But yeah, so we're dealing with this new leader. I think there's going to be an election soon. Don't really care. I don't really see any difference in either side leading. They're all controlled. It doesn't matter. It's all an illusion. It's all a play. It's all got to go down a certain way. So it doesn't matter to me. And, some people don't like that. And I think that the whole idea of voting is giving your power away, signing over your autonomy to someone else, saying you have my permission to lead me. I'm not giving anybody permission to lead me. Thank you very much. So, yeah, there's all this noise and clutter and everything I'm listening to. I used to like what I was seeing on Twitter for, I don't know, maybe a month after Trump came into office. Now everything I see is just lies and garbage and junk. And it's frustrating how easy it is for people to put out flat out lies and for people to believe it like this pyramid thing. Has anybody heard about this pyramid thing? About how someone did a report in 2022 where they scanned what's allegedly under the pyramids in Egypt, and they're claiming that these reports are showing that there are 8 cylindrical pillars underneath the pyramids going down 648 meters, which is impossible. So this whole thing is a complete lie, and it's circulating all over the internet. All the mainstream shills are talking about it, and there is no truth to it. But people want to believe it. They want to believe it, like as if the pyramids themselves are not enough. I mean, the pyramids themselves are full of mystery and great knowledge, and you can't even figure out how they got there. So what do you need this added mystery, nonsense, garbage to add to it, to distract from the purpose of the pyramids and why they are there? So you got David Icke talking about it as if it's real. You've got a bunch of other shill people talking about it as if it's real. And even the people who dare question it are getting attacked by people for questioning it. Like, what is behind this? There's something for this. I've seen stuff like this come out before, but this is weird because there's no reason for it to suddenly make the rounds as if it's real. There's no reason for it to be a big deal. There's no reason for people to attack you over this. Like, this is Mandela effect attack level antagonism. You know, you question the Mandela effect, you get a bunch of people coming over to your channel to attack you viciously, and they're relentless. And there are quite a few of these sorts of I don't know, I guess silos of lies that are protected by this sort of cult-like mentality where they will attack you if you say anything about it in the negative. Even this, like, one person was saying, you know, I want to believe this, but I have questions. And so this person was like bombarded with hate and negativity, calling him stupid for questioning it. Like, you're no expert. He's like, well, that's the whole point. I'm not an expert. I'm questioning it, though. Like, you don't need to be an expert to question the fact that there's no evidence. You don't need to be an expert to question the validity of something that has obvious holes in it. Journeyman, pyramid stuff is everywhere. The suggested scale is ludicrous. Yeah, Journeyman, thank you. It is absurd. There is no way that you can go down that far. It's not possible. But also, it's the whole thing is preposterous. There's no evidence. The original report doesn't have anything in it to substantiate the claim that there is anything under the pyramid. The initial report wasn't even on Khafre Pyramid. So this is just all a load of nonsense. And the original report is not peer-reviewed or anything, which is fine, I guess, to a point. But if you're making some sort of bold claim like this that is getting enough hype that it's circulating the internet like this, it should have some substantiated review by peers. It should be supported by mainstream media. It should be supported by archaeologists. There should be some sort of dig to back it up if they believe that this is true. Why is there no excavation happening? Because it's not true, because it's just all made up. So for people to just take this and run and believe it because they want to, to me, what seems to be going on is it seems like more of this junk is being pushed out. I don't know whether it is another division tactic, because I haven't yet figured out why this is happening, but this is usually the pattern. is another division tactic, kind of like what happened in 2020, where they'll put out something that seems sort of realish, and then they'll put out some super nonsense to divide people and make them argue over it. Meanwhile, it's totally irrelevant. Like, who cares? Who cares? Unless they are actually going out to the pyramids to dig, and it's all over the mainstream media, and it's evidenced, proven, you have concrete proof that there's something there, it's nonsense. There's nothing. It's made up. So what does it matter to you? How is it going to affect your life? Why are you arguing about it? Don't you have more important things to talk about and focus on? I mean, yeah, if it was real, great. Then there would be something to talk about. And the same thing with like the JFK stuff. There's more division over that too. But, you know, like I said, like the JFK stuff on its own is enough. But there's all these people who are making up lies, taking in information, doctoring it, and releasing it as if it's evidence. More like foggy photo type stuff, made up documents, distortions, making links where there aren't any. So much nonsense, so much trash. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think is going on with churning out all of this lies, all of this fakery? It's like we want you to be preoccupied with nonsense so that you can't even see the truth. Yeah, we're going to release the JFK files, but then we're going to swarm the internet with all of this nonsense so you can't even tell what's true and what's not. That's what it looks like. It's like, yeah, there's one real bee hidden in a swarm of drones that are all fake. So find the real bee. Like, the easiest thing to do is to go to the source. Go to the website where all of the files are and go through the files yourself. But who wants to do that? People rely too much on other people to regurgitate information for them so they don't have to do the work. And then they fall for the lies because, oh, so-and-so told me it looked real enough. And then when somebody comes and challenges them, well, this isn't true. And they say, oh, well, that's what you get for taking it off the internet. What do I care? But you're like spreading nonsense in the meantime. Journeyman, it feels like it's been pushed. It's on so many channels, etc., which makes me wonder what's happening elsewhere that we need to be distracted from. Yeah, I agree. Like, it's like it's deliberately being pushed because, like I said, it's surrounded by what you would call flying monkeys. You know, it's kind of got this sort of narcissistic mind type pattern to it. They put the lie out. If you question it, then you're attacked. And there's so many people putting it out there, they have to be paid because they're all talking about the same thing from the same perspective, and you're not allowed to question it. So, yeah, it's like they're drowning people in nonsense at the same time as releasing the truth. And, you know, it's possible too that these are people on the left who have been paid so that when the JFK files come out, they take the truth and they distort it, and then they pollute the environment with their lies so that it's obscuring the real truth, so that you don't really know what's going on. And that's what it seems to be, is like this pyramid thing popped up out of nowhere. It's being pushed by a bunch of people who like influencers and so-called truthers, but they're shills. And you can't talk to them because they're not real people. And by that, I mean, they're not genuine. They're not telling the truth. They're not doing research. They're being fed information. They could be bots, but if they are real people, they're being paid to put this information out. So these people could be paid by the left to, or, you know, the pollutants, the ones that are running the show, desperately trying to hold on to the old narrative, desperately trying to hold on to the last remnants of the old world before Trump collapses it all. So, if Trump is putting out the truth, then it makes sense to have a bunch of drones sent out to pollute the waters so you don't know what's really going on. So yeah. P, not buying it 100%. Yeah, me neither. Wookie, my thought is almost everything is to distract us from ourselves. Externalization versus internalization. I agree with you completely. It's more of those shapes on Plato's cave wall. Indeed, it's like, hey, look at the puppet show. No, you're supposed to look within. Like Wookie, as you decoded in Heretic, the pyramids are a prime example of iterations. The truth of the pyramids has been obfuscated for some reason. I cannot say that word today. Obfuscated. The truth of the pyramids has been obfuscated for God knows how long and how many iterations. Yeah, I agree. And, okay, so I saw David Icke posted on Twitter. I don't even know, I guess because I follow truth people, his stuff is coming in my feed. I don't know. But some of his posts are coming in my feed. And he was talking about the pyramids and saying how, comparing how they appeared in multiple territories around the world, and saying something about how society has changed. It was very unclear, his message. I wasn't sure whether he was trying to say that we were all one people back then, or we were all connected back then, or what. I wasn't sure. But what we're moving towards is connectedness. And so there will be telepathy and oneness. So if we are operating off of not a hive mind, we're operating off Christ consciousness, and we're aware of the truth and aware of who we are, then these pyramids were built as monuments to that world, to that era, so that they would never be destroyed. They're too big, they're too strong, they're too powerful. The only thing they can do is to confuse what their purpose was by calling them tombs. Come on, like, don't insult my intelligence by calling them tombs. I don't know if I probably believed it when I was in grade 6 and such, because that's what we were told. But like, once you actually start studying this stuff, they're not tombs. And so they're trying to pass off everything as a tomb. But there's so much knowledge in these monuments, and they're all over the world because they are important. They're important in revealing the truth, and because you can't destroy them. So they were there because they knew that we would be falling in consciousness, and they would be left as a reminder of who we really are. So now we're starting to awaken in consciousness. Then we will remember what these pyramids served. And the reason that these pyramids were all over the world is because we shared this consciousness. And now we're coming out of this other consciousness, or lack consciousness, 3D ego-based consciousness. And that consciousness separated us. So it kept us from knowing who we really are. But Christ consciousness is unifying. So we had a connection. So there's no need for this idea of having to travel from one country to another. You didn't need to. You're already connected. So if somebody was like, oh, we should build permanent monuments, and this is what we should build because this is what embodies the truth, then it would make sense that they pop up all over the world around the same time, because they know that we're going to fall in consciousness. So yeah, we have to make up all of this nonsense about there being skyscrapers under the desert, and that the pyramid is just the top of the skyscraper. Like, that's absurd. It's absurd and impossible. But yeah, iterations, because it's explaining the true nature of reality. Like, the answers are in ancient Egypt. The answers are in ancient texts, ancient drawings, ancient information. The answers are all there in symbols. Journeyman. In World War II, pre-D-Day, they released chaff, metal shards to fool German radar stations that a Calais invasion was underway. Today, the chaff is in the information space. Metal shards to fool radar stations. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not surprised. I mean, you're going to use all sorts of tactics to fool people so that you can win the game, right? So war is just a game. It's a game of strategy, and unfortunately involves a lot of brutality. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Wookie. The new movie, The Gorge, also touches upon the concept of iterations of obfuscating the truth. Yeah, I meant to watch that. Forgot about it. Because you from the trailer I can tell, like, the movie The Gorge, you've got the masculine on one side and the feminine on the other, and they can't connect, and they want to connect, and they're separated by this gorge. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to watch. Is it dark? I know that it's like a monster in the gorge, right? Eternal being. There seems to be a new topic of weird stuff every week. Yeah, hard to keep up. A week or two ago, there was a story about the elites eating mermaids. What? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Okay. Natasha, hello everyone. Apologies for being late. Well, I'm just glad you're here. Joyful to be here. I made it. Greetings and salutations. Hi, Joyful. Hello. Yeah, there does seem to be a lot more nonsense coming out. So, what is the craziest thing you've heard lately? Anybody want to share the craziest thing they've heard lately? Obviously, the plane crashes are one thing. These plane crashes, they not only have we had bizarre things happening on planes for quite a few years now, going even past the crazy plane lady. So that happened like 2 years ago now. And so it's been going on for quite some time, the disruptions on planes. And now we have actual plane crashes to deter people from flying. And, like, even COVID made flying uncomfortable. So, it's working because I want my flying experience to be enjoyable, and I don't want to have to contend with negative stuff. And, it was already heading in the direction of unpleasant with all these papers that we had to file, and this, just the way that they made you go through these processes of like security checks and everything already made it uncomfortable. And now they're just making it even more unpleasant. So yeah, and when I travel, I love to fly. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. But if it's not a pleasant experience, like, why would I don't want to put myself through that. So it's working on me, unfortunately. But maybe I'll just have to overcome that, because I don't want to have to not do it just because of propaganda nonsense. But yeah, I will have to mentally prepare myself so that I can manifest a positive flying experience. Clean slate. Hello. The left attacking Tesla cars and owners who are left-leaning people. Crazy train. Thank you for reminding me about that. Clean slate. Indeed. Yeah, the whole Tesla attacking thing is really, really not only ridiculous, but stupid. And okay, I was starting to feel relief after like November, when we saw the left losing it. And we haven't seen too much of that for a while, because during the whole 4 years prior, we were seeing a lot of the left losing it in terms of like all sorts of agendas and whatnot. And we had a little bit of a respite. Now we're starting to see them freak out again. I've seen people, they've set these Teslas on fire. They've been keying them and they're caught on camera because Teslas have cameras. Are you stupid? What do you think this is going to do? So, yeah, also the hypocrisy. So, the latest thing I saw this morning was a couple of Canadians, left leaning extremists in the rainbow community, went to a Tesla and spray painted it and stood outside protesting, and they filmed themselves. It's like, you do realize that you have just incriminated yourselves, but okay. And they said something new about, I wasn't really paying much attention, but they said something about climate change or whatever. And it's like, Elon used to be on your side. Elon used to be a Democrat, and then he realized the nonsense and he moved over to Republican. That's his story anyway. And his cars are electric and they're made in the United States. And he's sort of trying to do this because you like to save the climate, you like to save the earth, and that's why you like electric vehicles. But now all of a sudden, it's more important for you to cause all of this damage and corruption and toxicity. You're not just polluting the environment when you set these cars on fire and you damage them. Like, even keying a car causes pollution because they're going to have to get that car repaired. So that takes up energy and paint can also be toxic. So you're really not thinking this through. And, you got all these lefties out there trying to get to Elon by damaging other people's cars. It's like, Elon only owns like 13% of Tesla, so it really doesn't affect his overall net worth that much, even if it went away in its entirety. You're hurting the people who own the car, and then they're like, well, they're probably Elon's supporters because they own a Tesla. And it's like, okay, but weren't you an Elon supporter at some point because you supported electric vehicles and you probably drove a Tesla, or at least knew someone who did, and now all of a sudden it's horrible and you're hurting regular innocent people? Like, these people are emotionally driven and mentally absent. They don't think for themselves. They're just mind controlled. And a prime example, somebody posted this on Twitter. They said, hey, what's up with the left? Or are Canadians just stupid? Because Pierre Poilievre said he was getting rid of the carbon tax, and all the lefties moaned and complained and said that he doesn't like the environment. And then they also complained because he was going to take away their refunds or whatever. But now that Carney says it, all of a sudden it's a great idea. I mean, the mental gymnastics, it's pure insanity. It's pure stupidity. I don't really understand how. Obviously, the only way that this works is that they have a set mindset or a set belief, and everything has to fit in that box. So everything they see gets warped and twisted to fit their ideology. And that's it. Nothing else matters. So everything we're seeing and witnessing with what's going on with the left is a prime example of how people warp and twist what is presented to them to fit their belief system, rather than see the truth, rather than accept that they're wrong, rather than accept that something is not lining up with their belief system. And this is what it's like. And I think this is why we're seeing this. I think we're seeing this because of the change that we're going through in the awakening process of changing our perception and recognizing that reality is not what it seems. And you go through a change in perception. So the reason we're presented with this is the left and the right providing a contrast of perceptions and showing you how different your life and your life experience can be when you hold opposing positions or perspectives. And the people who are on the left having this really warped perspective and how their minds are controlled by this narrative, if they finally break free of that and move to the right, because that's usually what happens, they usually let the pendulum shift for them and swing for them to the other side. The people on the left will recognize how they got caught up in this essentially cult-like thinking, and it should jolt them awake to some degree. They should start to recognize, wow, like I was in that and I didn't even see it. And the people on the right recognizing how warped these people think also should wake them up to how different your experience can be based off of how you perceive the world and how you think. So it's a prime example to see how your beliefs prevent you from seeing the truth. Absolutely prime example. And, like fear will keep you trapped. Your belief system will keep you trapped. The story you tell yourself will keep you trapped. It's a prime example to the extreme. and in some ways it's entertaining to watch. 90 minutes of straight standing to get through security customs at the airport yesterday. Oh God, ew. See, like this stuff, there's no need for this, like you're traveling from Canada to the United States. It should be easy. And I feel like they're making it extra hard and uncomfortable. You know how when you go through a period of change, you get like an experience of heightened negativity, of the opposite of what you want, so that when you do get what you want, you appreciate it more. So if we're going through an experience of change where they're trying to make airport travel uncomfortable, they're making the border crossing uncomfortable because we have these tensions now between Canada and the United States, they could be doing it on purpose so that when they introduce a new system, it's effortless, it's easy, it's comfortable, it's wonderful. And so we appreciate it that much more. And maybe there's going to be some things that are introduced in order to solve that problem, it's a sort of problem, reaction, solution type of thing. Maybe that solution isn't really ideal, but because it's better than what we had before due to recent memory, people will accept it, right? So our memory is really very short-lived. If you've been around long enough, you will remember a time when traveling by air was fun and easy. You didn't have to be at the airport 3 hours in advance and stand in line for 2 hours. And even when you're there 3 hours in advance, you're still rushing to your plane because you have to stand in all of these lines all the time. And then they question you and scan you and treat you like a criminal, and you're just traveling on vacation. It's absurd. So if they get to the point where all of that is gone and you can get to the airport 10 minutes before your flight, you scan in your digital ID before you even get to the airport. You scan it into, say, the train when you get on board the train that takes you directly to the airport. Your bags are already checked in. You just run them into something on the train, and that goes directly to the plane, and it gets automatically sorted because it's all digital, and it's effortless and it's fun and it's wonderful. Maybe that's the trade-off. Maybe that's where we're headed, because we are moving to this blockchain, digital, AI-based world. And so it does have to have some sort of contrast in order to facilitate change. Otherwise, you be complacent. So why don't you just simplify things? Just like the way that it was when we first started flying. You just want to go to the airport. Here's my ticket. All right, great. Get on the plane. It's over there. Thank you very much. your meal will be served and you get good quality food. Like the good old days. And some things in the good old days were actually good. I don't know. What do you think? Eternal Being, watching those astronauts get rescued was quite entertaining. Yeah, I admit I trolled Elon about that. There have been a few space thingies that came up recently. I think I replied to Elon 3 times saying, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. I couldn't resist because like, come on, how long are you going to keep up the ruse that space is real and that you're actually, doing something with SpaceX, and that this whole flying to the space station to rescue these people is a real thing? And, the space capsule landing in the water actually happened. I mean, it looks like CGI, surrounded by dolphins, no less. It's all just a fake story. And yet Elon is like still pretending that it's real. I mean, this is the one thing that bothers me about him. I appreciate some things that he's doing, part of the story, but come clean about the space stuff and about the brain chip, because that's not real either. Cece, hey, true love, glad to see you. Excellent. How you break things down. Much respect. Thanks from New York. Hi, Cece. Haven't seen you for a while. Joyful to be here. Tesla terrorists only to wake up more left-leaning people. Yeah, Zop, I'm late. Hi, everyone. Hi, Zop. Journeyman, another military analogy. They are shaping the battlefield. Can you expand on that? Love to hear a bit more. Joyful to be here. Conor McGregor, as well as Andrew Tate dramas all over social media as well. Toxicity of Lively and Reynolds, still big news to newly waking people. Hey, Joyful, you say the Lively and Reynolds is big news to newly waking people. So how is that waking people up? Because are you seeing that that's waking people up? I'd love to hear more. Who's Conor McGregor? Is he he's some kind of fighter or something, isn't he? And Andrew Tate, I'm not familiar with their drama. I have obviously been sleeping on that one. But yeah, the Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is entertaining. Started to get a little bit too much. But the latest on the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds thing, I mean, I honestly can't believe this story is real because it's so crazy. Every day there's something more. Every day there's something insane coming out of the Lively Reynolds camp. This time they've been at this now since December, when she filed the whatever it was lawsuit. And now all of a sudden, 3 months later, Ryan Reynolds wants to withdraw or something. like they don't want to go any further. They don't want to. They want to invoke the Me Too law in order to cancel what they have. I'm at a loss for words because I don't know the actual words, but they want to put a halt on the progress of this lawsuit. And they also feel that Baldoni's lawsuit has no merit because of hurt feelings, despite the fact that it's like bullying and, libelous and defamation of character. There's all sorts of awful things that are a result of what Ryan Reynolds has done. And the main focus of what is going on with them is geared towards Ryan Reynolds being gay. And he is actually the one who made advances toward Baldoni and got rejected, or they both did and got rejected. And so now he hates him. But also There's rumors of him, feeling insecure about his marriage with Lively, but also feeling insecure about being found out because he has issues with his father, who I think is now deceased, and he has like sort of sociopathic tendencies. This is according to what I heard from Candace Owens. And he doesn't want to be found out because Baldoni's mere presence threatens his ego. So he is afraid to look within. Like, I saw a clip today. This perfectly exemplifies what's going on here. So you remember my superhero, the God Within video I did in 2021. Well, there's a clip there of Batman confronting the Joker, and he says, "Why are you trying to kill me?" And the Joker laughs and he's like, "I don't want to kill you. You complete me." This is exactly the situation that's going on with Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni is Batman, and Ryan Reynolds is the Joker. He's the evil, sadistic effer who wants to terrorize Batman, but he doesn't want to kill him because he completes him, because he is a mirror for him. Justin Baldoni is too good, too healed, too whole, too pure, and it confronts Ryan Reynolds' evil, and he can't handle it. So he has to destroy him. It's like, what the hell? It's so funny when you see it this way, but it's tragic at the same time. But essentially what this is like the mere presence of someone who has their inner work, their shadow work done, the mere presence of someone who is standing in authentic power, authentic truth, just destroys someone living in darkness and lies like Ryan Reynolds, apparently. Because if he is gay and he's hiding it, he is living a lie. If he is married to someone he doesn't even love and he is still chasing after Scarlett Johansson, he's living a lie. So there's so much toxicity that's coming out of this. He's pretending to be this affable, lovable character, which is very much like what we saw in Heretic with Mr. Reed. He's pretending to be really nice, and that's part of his personality. But everything that he jokes about is seething in anger and rage and hate and sarcasm and ripping people to shreds. And he covers it up as a joke, just like the Joker. So it's fascinating, and again, all part of the awakening process, because it's showing what someone who's healed does to someone who's broken. They can't handle it. So he's falling apart in front of our eyes. And this is like the left falling apart as a result of Trump being in power. I've talked about this before. Trump is in his God power. People can't handle it. People can't handle it when you speak your mind. People can't handle it when you are authentic. They can't handle it when you do as you say you're going to do, because he walks in integrity. And when you do that, people are going to hate you. And this is just part of the process. But you have to overcome all of that, because this is just part of the ego dying. So yeah, it's fascinating. Where are we at? Eternal being, that's awesome. You tell them about the Elon thing. Coco, hey Coco, I watched the movie Electric State. It's good. I don't get why people hate it. Well, they probably don't understand it. That's why. I haven't seen it, but I saw that it was on there. I almost watched it yesterday. Joyful to be here. People in the United States afraid of Social Security is being threatened. People I know on Facebook freaking out. Oh, because they believe the leftist nonsense, that they're not actually listening to the truth and understanding what's really going on. Could it be? I mean, there's so many things that the left is freaking out about that aren't even true. They just have these talking points that they repeat, and so they say it often enough, they believe it. There's nothing to substantiate it. Nobody is even bothering to research to find out if it's true or not. So you've got these people believing still that women have no autonomy over their own body because we don't have a right to abortion, and so that's not even true. It's not even true. The power of the right to abortion has been put into the hands of the state, not the country, not the federal level, and it's also still allowed based off of your medical situation, if to save the life of the mother, and if it's like a dangerous situation in cases of the words that we're not allowed to say here. But it's not something that they condone as a form of regular birth control, which it kind of shouldn't be anyway, because it shouldn't be a default go-to of an oopsie. But that's what we've been brainwashed to believe as acceptable. It's like, it doesn't really matter because I can just go and get it taken care of. But they don't even focus on, let me finish my thought. They don't even focus on the emotional repercussions of a woman going through that process and having to do that, because there is a lot of trauma involved in going through that experience. And to pass it off as if it is nothing is stupid. It's not even stupid. It's negligent and lacking in responsibility. But that's the world we live in, right? We live in this messed up, trauma-based 911 trauma center world. So what I was going to say is that they caused the problem in the first place, and then they changed the situation. And so they're basically like pushing your mind from one pillar to the next. So at one point you believe that it's acceptable and it's okay, and now they're telling you that it's not acceptable and it's not okay. Whereas before we were told that it was acceptable and okay, we believed that it wasn't acceptable and it wasn't okay. So it's like, well, what do you actually believe? You have to figure out for yourself what you believe is important. Why is it important? And otherwise, the media is just going to manipulate you so that you go back and forth on the tennis court or the ping pong table. And so yeah, that's one aspect of the lies that are being spread. And so yeah, the Social Security situation is just as nonsensical, because he's not getting rid of Social Security. He's trying to protect Social Security so that you have money for when you retire, because the corruption and the fraud, according to the story, is so bad that the United States is hemorrhaging money. If the country goes bankrupt, you're not going to have any money at all. So they're trying to stop that. They're trying to change things to make things better for you. And the same with the Board of Education or the Department of Education. They're crying over that too, but they're not getting rid of education. Trump is getting rid of the Department of Education, which isn't anything to do with education. It is a propaganda piece. It's there to put wokeness in the education system. It has nothing to do with the betterment of your education. So getting rid of it is actually a plus. So it's like, I don't really understand. So where are we here? Journeyman, shaping refers to the actions you take in advance of an operation to make the chances of success greater. In UK, roads are being closed to private cars, cities adopting congestion charging, etc. Yeah, so like it's the same sort of thing as problem, reaction, solution. So they set up a problem, creating all of the congestion, not allowing private cars, charging money, telling you that it's all because of climate change, etc. and then they'll introduce a solution that will make things easier and cheaper and whatever, but it's to their design. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad though, right? So like some of these changes are good and they have to happen. So first of all, what are you going to do about it? You're not really going to be able to do anything about it because it's part of the program. It's going to happen anyway. And if you're not going to do anything about it, you might as well just let it happen. But the only way you're going to be able to do anything about it is to go within and figure out what kind of life you want and what's important to you. Natasha, the left are flying monkeys for the narcissistic mind. Oh, totally, 100%. Yeah. Dirty Man, precursors to the reduction of private motoring, changes to air travel similar. Yeah, exactly. Joyful, McGregor, mixed martial artist. Yeah. I thought he was like some sort of fighter. Liable for rape. As Nikita Hand. Went to words that I apparently can't say. Went to White House and spoke out against immigrants in Ireland, causing a lot of controversy. Okay, right. Yeah. I do recall seeing that vaguely. I didn't really pay attention closely, though. Andrew Tate arrived back in Florida, and DeSantis stated that the brothers were not welcome and directed Georgia to investigate any potential legal actions against them. Candace Owens defending them. Toxic masculinity seems to be trotted out again. Yeah, I noticed that. I did listen to Candace interview Andrew Tate. I can't stand Andrew Tate, but I do agree with her on the position that he hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't been charged with anything. Like, he was released, set free, cleared of everything. So he doesn't have the right to block him from entry unless he can see him as like a threat to Florida. I don't see how that he's a threat to Florida, but like, he doesn't have any legitimate legal reason to keep him out of the state. But it's all a big story propaganda piece anyway, and a load of nonsense. But the point is, like, there is some toxic masculinity stuff rising on the right that I don't agree with. Candace Owens seems to support the whole patriarchy thing, and not even open to looking at the problems of patriarchy. So yeah, like, you can't completely discount either side. You can't completely discount the left and what they're moaning about, and you can't completely discard what they're moaning about on the right either. Wookie, sadly, a lot of comedian stand-ups tend to have a lot of unprocessed inner turmoil. Oh, yeah, for sure. This is going back to Ryan Reynolds being a comedian, and I think we talked about this in the film discussion, unless we might have talked about this in the live, about how, I think we talked about this last week in the live. So if you're a comedian, a lot of times you're suppressing your negative side, your darkness, your pain. Like Jim Carrey has openly said that he was funny to distract his mother, who was suffering from an illness. And so he wasn't processing his own pain about, first of all, having to take care of his mother as a child, having to take on the role of a clown in order to distract his mother, to take care of her, and not having a mother to take care of him, and having a mother who's ill. Like, all of that is trauma. And he probably didn't have time to process it because he's too busy distracting her and himself with humor. And it paid off in the long run, but also he had to deal with his father, who was also funny, but didn't make a go of it. And so he didn't believe that he could be successful at what he was doing. So like, that programming would be part of Jim Carrey's belief set too. And so he had to overcome that belief set. So if he hasn't processed that he's just burying it with humor, it's going to come out somewhere. And that's why a lot of these comedians are extremely good actors when they do drama. They don't particularly, I think they don't particularly want to do drama because it touches on that side of them that they're trying to hide. And, you get into situations like Heath Ledger, who played the Joker, right? The Joker, again, he's supposed to be funny, but underneath he's a sociopath. And so the Heath Ledger got so deep into the character that he lost himself in the darkness of the Joker. And at least this is the story we're told, right? So there's truth to the stories. So he lost himself to the darkness. And if you haven't processed your own darkness, it's going to be very difficult to be confronted with that and to deal with that. So apparently there were like pills and stuff involved at that time. So that could have been part of the problem. But yeah, comedians tend to avoid their serious side through humor. Just Austin Beber, is there anything more important than politics? Well, of course there is. I mean, the funny thing is I was never interested in politics, but they've made politics important because of the war that's going on. I mean, we're in a war between the left and the right, between it's a mind control war. It's an information war. And the political situation on the world stage story, it's important in the sense that it's drawing our attention to what's happening within us. So in that sense, like, it's beneficial to observe it and to learn from it, but to sort of get caught up in it, if you want to, you can, but get caught up in it as like something to fight or something to take on as, this is something really bad that's going to take over our lives and that sort of thing. That's not helpful. It's a tool to reflect on so that you can look within and reflect on what's happening with you. And to understand human nature better, understand why it's happening, what's going on in the world, where are we at in the story. And I think, there's some recurring things that are coming up, and one of those is eggs. What do you see in the symbolism behind eggs? Because everybody is obsessed with the price of eggs. Everybody is obsessed with eggs. And this was something that came up in Don't Worry, Darling, one of my favorite movies that tells the truth. And it was the point where Florence Pugh's character, Alice, she discovers that there's nothing inside the egg, and she crushes the egg. And then she realizes there's something wrong with this world. So what are your thoughts on the egg? Joyful to be here. If you want to get consent for more controls, offer up obnoxious or objectionable personalities or situations as reasons to justify limiting freedoms. Oh, for sure. For sure. Because that's how we had these security checks put in 9/11, after 9/11 on airplanes. It's like we had this extreme event, and they claimed that there was a guy on a plane who tried to light a match with a shoe and had a bomb in his shoe or whatever. And so all of a sudden now we have to take our shoes off when we go through airport checks. We have to get x-ray scans when we go through checks. We're treated like criminals before we can even travel, which is absurd. So everything that they tell us that we have to be looking out for amongst ourselves is all being done by them, the ones who are imposing this nonsense on us. So it's like, look at the people, all of the corruption and everything they're accusing people, everyday people, of doing is not happening with everyday people. all of the corruption is happening with the people who are imposing these laws and restrictions upon us, so that laws and restrictions are put on us as a distraction, believing that, oh, somebody's doing something positive to take care of the awfulness in the world, but they're looking in the wrong direction. And so this barrier that's put on the everyday people doesn't apply to the 1% at the top. And so the 1% at the top roam around freely conducting their corruption and their, heinous activities, laughing at us because we believe that they're actually doing something. Meanwhile, they're the ones that are orchestrating all of the corruption. So it's like all smoke and mirrors and nonsense. So yeah, like with the whole JFK thing and about how like the CIA was behind it, and like most of this information was already well known. Most of it was out there. So it's not really a secret, but it's like smoke and mirrors, It's like, oh, we'll provide them with something like 1,200 files and 80,000 pages. And, it's like, who's going to read all that? Somebody will. Some people will actually go through all of that. But like, I can't believe that there's going to be anything in there that is going to be life-changing, that is going to be revolutionary, that is going to be, they said themselves, there's no smoking gun. And yet, here are all the files that we held on to for decades. For what reason? Why? Because you're proving that there was corruption in the government. You're proving that conspiracy people were right in the first place. You're proving all of this, but nothing is happening as a result. You've been holding on to these documents for decades, knowing all of this, yet you didn't do anything about it. And why is that? Why didn't you do anything? How come we're told that conspiracy theorists are, it's nonsense because they would have to all be in on it. So doesn't something like the JFK files prove how many people are in on it? Why didn't they go arrest these people? Why didn't they do something about it? How come certain people disappeared or were, ended before, like right after the event happened, allegedly? I don't even know if that's true because this is coming from somebody who read the files. So that could be nonsense. But like all of these stories of people who were trying to blow the whistle and couldn't, well, who's preventing them? How do they know? Well, I mean, my perspective, I'm just asking the question so you start to think a little differently about the whole situation and don't just accept whatever's handed to you by these people, because it's all a story and it's all got holes in it. So look for the holes. Like this is, I know this is why I break down stuff like Love is Blind, and I broke down Ashley Madison and for my members and stuff. And I also broke down the Gabby Petito story because it's full of holes. But like, it's the way in which the story is told. It's a fascinating study because if you can easily fall for the story, because a story is a spell. You're getting told a story where you get captivated, right? So anytime you watch a movie, you suspend your disbelief. You read a story, you suspend your disbelief in order to believe the story. And so you get swept along by the story, by the spell of the story. And as long as you are in that spell of the story, you will believe it. And so a story like Ashley Madison or Gabby Petito, you put all of these pieces together, craft a nice story out of it, and you will believe it. But once you start poking holes in it, you realize, hang on a minute, this is not coming through proper. Something's wrong here. This doesn't read well. And that's when you start to see there's something else happening here. And even that level of decoding is helpful for you to see through the veil. So you got people like Mag Bitter Truth do things like this, where he pokes holes through these stories using logic. And a lot of people who are caught up in the story, the main story, the story of the 3D, they will be cynical and they will say, well, all you're doing is calling everything fake. No, he's using logic to poke holes in the story that exists. The holes exist, and he's pointing them out. And if you're not seeing it, it's because you're still captivated by the story. So that part of it, like being able to see past that part of it to break the spell of the story, is really the first layer of getting beyond the spell, the first layer of getting beyond the veil. And then you can go deeper. You can just go deeper and deeper and deeper. And the deepest level I have gotten to is the esoteric level, which allows you to literally transform. You transform as a result of changing the story, of seeing the alternative version of the story, the true version of the story. And it transforms you, and it transforms the story, and it transforms your perception of reality. And that's the power of it. And so that's why I like to do those sort of lighter ones, because first of all, they're fun. Second, sometimes, it can get a little hard and heavy to constantly decode things. And I already decoded the Gabby Petito story when it came out. And I didn't want to do that again. So I just looked at it from the perspective of, let's just look at it from the perspective that there's holes in here. It's convincing, but there's holes here. Cage Fighters, we free. Hello. Thanks for the clarity. Bailey, hello. How do you deal with dating someone who isn't awake? I don't. That's how I deal with it. But okay, so if this is a serious question and you don't want to break up with the person, don't try to wake them up. You accept them for where they are. If it's important to you that you have a partner who's awake, then you should walk away, because the chances of somebody waking up just because you want them to, slim to none. If you are okay with being with a partner who is not awake, then accept it and do not try to wake them up. You can't wake them up. Not that it's impossible for them to wake up, but it's hard, and you are not responsible for their awakening. The only way for you, and here's the other problem why I don't recommend being with somebody who's not awake, is because you need to be your authentic self. And if you can't be your authentic self around someone because they're not awake, then you're stifling your own growth and your own purpose for being here. And that's why I don't recommend it. But this is your journey and this is your story, and you have to do what's right for you. So if you want to be with that person, then you have to accept that they probably will never wake up. You have to be okay with that, but you also have to be loyal to yourself. You have to do what's right for you, and you have to put yourself first. You have to be invested in your awakening so that nothing else matters. Be okay with the fact that they're not awake. Love them for where they are and who they are, and be okay with that. But you also have to be your authentic self. You have to be true to yourself. So, whether that means staying with them or not, that's your choice. That's your decision. It's part of your journey, and no one can tell you what you should do about it. So your decision. Hope that's helpful. We free, you don't. Yeah. Yeah, like that to me is like, I would not be with somebody who's not awake, and I would not be with somebody who is just slightly awake. He would have to be awake to the level at which I'm awake. And that's not, it's not that it's not impossible, not that it's not impossible, but yeah, I would rather be on my own and be my authentic self than be stifled by someone who is trying to suppress me, because usually that's what people do when they're not awake. They need you to believe what they believe so they can feel comfortable. But when you're awakening and you're going through that process, you get to be comfortable with other people being where they are. And this is what we're seeing too with the left and the right, because the left is uncomfortable with other people having beliefs that don't align with their own. And so they're trying to force everyone to agree with them through coercion and toxicity and changing laws and forcing people and calling them names and terrorism, whereas the right is okay with people having a different opinion. Just don't force it on me, you know? So it's the same sort of thing. Eternal being, just slipping this in. I found it funny. France wants the US to give the Statue of Liberty back. Yeah, I saw that. I'd really like to see them come pick her up and take her back. I'd watch that reality show for sure. Thanks for reminding me about that. I did see that, and it's like, you know, France wants it back because they don't like Trump, which is stupid. Like, I don't know who's speaking on behalf of all of France to say we want our statue back, but like, first of all, it's not yours. You gave it to America well over 100 years ago. Why would you want it back? I think after over 100 years, you can't say you got to give it back. Like, it's not an engagement ring, you know? It's not like I'm breaking up with you. We're not getting married anymore, and I want my engagement ring back. Over 100 years ago. But yeah, it is funny for sure. Joyful. Eggs equals fertility. Why no eggs? They killed the chickens contaminated by bird flu. Bird flu only affecting factory chickens, no other birds. Yeah, good point. Excuse me. Anybody else got any input on what the issue is with the eggs? But yeah, like bird flu. So I'll let other people, anybody else got something to contribute about the symbolism behind the egg thing, even bird flu, any symbolism behind the eggs and the bird flu you want to contribute before I pipe in. Coco, eternal being, ancient Greece asked for their statue of Helios back. Well, pretty soon people are going to just say, well, I want my country back. I want my land back. It's like, sorry, we kind of moved on from that point, you know? What if we just refuse to participate, Rod? For instance, the system loves to get people to choose a side, then go battle against the other side. Left, right, men, women, refuse to bite. Yeah, I think I talked about that last week. It's yeah, like not participating is one thing. Like you can participate, right? So there's nothing wrong with participating. It's just like when you staunchly hold to one side versus the other and start fighting other people based off of choosing a side. There is no like system in a sense of it is you. So it's just showing part of you, the battle that's happening within you. So you want to merge the two. You want to, if you're from my perspective of not participating is still making an enemy of it, right? You're still putting it outside of you as something that is a threat to you. And so it's like you people are trying to get me to fight by picking a side. So I'm not going to participate. So now you've separated yourself from them. So you're saying this game I'm not playing. So now there's a gap between that thing and you. So you're still creating the divide. You're still creating the us versus them. It's when you merge it and you're no longer afraid of it that you dismantle it. That's where you have to get to, merging the two. So you're okay with either side. You're okay with whatever happens. You understand it's just part of the whole story. It's part of the game. It's part of the infrastructure. It doesn't hold power over you anymore. If you disengage, you're still giving it power. You're still saying that I lose my power if I engage. No, if you merge with it, you have every right to engage. You can jump right in if you want to. That's like if you're invited to a pool party and you make an enemy out of the pool and you say, well, everybody's in the pool. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to swim in the pool. And then you make an enemy out of the pool. Somebody throws you in the pool. You got to swim. You got to swim and get out of the pool. So you have to engage with the pool. You're forced to engage with the pool because you live in the pool, right? You can't make an enemy of it. It's part of you. So embrace it. Understand why it's there and why it serves a purpose. Then it has no power. And then you can go to the pool party and swim in the pool. It's like if you really didn't want, even if you don't go to the pool party, you're still making an enemy out of the pool and the pool party. So if you want to embrace it, you're like, oh, I got invited to the pool party. Do I want to go or do I not want to go? Well, let's go. So you go to the pool party and you enjoy the pool party and you swim in the pool and you have a great time. There's no need to make an enemy out of the pool. Just swim in it. Enjoy it. You're here for the party. You're here to enjoy this place. So enjoy it. Left and right, whatever. If you're really detached, if you really want to have fun with it, you can hop from left to right if you want to. This is it. Like, I don't like what's going on with the left because I think it's just mentally deranged. But I can, from time to time sit on the left and say, okay, I understand why they have this opinion and I can appreciate certain opinions of the left. I don't sit on the right and say, oh, these lefties are crazy. I'm not listening to anything they say. I listen to them. I don't really take on a lot of the things that they say, but also I can also look at the right and say, I don't agree with everything you say. I do agree with a lot of the things that you say. And I don't mind a lot of the things that are going on, but there's still issues and whatever. I can go to either party and still have a good time, But for me, the real party is in the middle. The real party is doing my own thing. I don't need to go to either party, but I can go to either party if I want to. Eternal being, Coco, interesting, did not know that. Rod, hi, it gets closer the more you ignore it. People start talking about it near you. If a war happens and you ignore it, the war gets closer. It's the same thing like I was talking about last week with non-dualisms. Like if you sit, so yeah, you're basically creating your own pillars, right? So now like the whole duality system is another pillar that you're over here on this pillar and that's over there on that pillar. So you've created a whole duality system of your own. And if you try to eliminate something, right? You try to cut yourself off from something, you say, that's evil and that's not me. There's going to be stuff that comes back to tell you that, yeah, it is you. And you have to engage with it and you have to merge with it and you have to be okay with it. Otherwise, it's going to hold power over you. So if you try to, like watch the movie Dogville for a perfect example of this. She tried to remove herself from the negativity. She tried to be pure and good and deny the darkness within her. But it came back to her. It came back to her because she was too far on the other side. She didn't stand up for herself. She didn't defend herself. She didn't love herself. She wasn't embracing her darkness in order to defend herself and protect herself. And therefore, she projected it outside of her and it came back to haunt her. So you can't escape it. You have to merge with it. So if you are on one pillar, you're going to swing to the other side because it's all about balance. So you can't cut one out of the other. It's all about balance. So you be in the middle and merge the two. It's not about being in the middle and denying the two, because now you've created another duality. It's about being in the middle because you are the two. The two are one, and it is you. So accept it. We Free. The Department of Education is a joke, so it's got to go. Yeah, it is. Entire education is entirely in your hands. Agreed. Yeah. Strictly educational magic. We've got an education synchronicity here going. They just want to say it. We're going to say what? The egg thing? Coco, eggs are symbolic because of the world egg. Yeah, the world egg, the cosmic egg. It's cracked. The head is cracked. There's a crack in the Liberty Bell. Zeus split in two genders when he was hatched out of the cosmic egg. That's why we have eggs on Easter. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, the life cycle, spring, summer, early adult, teen, autumn, older age, and winter, old age. Okay, I'm not following now. Just talking about seasons and change and aging. So egg symbolism also always confused me. Like I always wondered what an egg had to do with Jesus dying. What is that? Where's that from? Joyful. Birds are symbolic of spiritual messages, freedom, higher vision. Does the focus on diseased birds suggest an attempt to corrupt or distort these energies? Joyful egg, potential new life, freedom from shell, too expensive, unavailable to many people. Yeah, so okay, so I'll throw my egg thingy in here, and you can build on it if you like. So yeah, egg has to do with the world, right? So when you are creating new life, you need an egg. So that's the feminine as well. So the egg comes from the feminine. So we're focusing on the birth of a new world from the feminine and the rise of the feminine. But also, egg is surrounded by a shell. The egg is within the head. The egg in the head is the thalamus, which is protected by the fornix, and the bird in the head is also the command center, which is the limbic system, the canary brain, bird brain, the bird in the cage, and there's also the egg, which is the thalamus. So thalamus is also the sleeping chamber for the feminine. So there's a lot of feminine symbolism. So if you're looking at bird flu as being toxic or poisoned, then there's a problem with the brain. So it's mind control also, like that's the command center of the brain. So it's also connected to the leftist toxicity, the wokeism and all of that. So we're being mind controlled with all of this uprising, pollution, nonsense that's happening in the world. And so like the price of eggs is a concern because eggs are stable. Eggs are, along with bread and milk, are fundamental elements in our diet, or they should be, they used to be. And so the price of eggs is suddenly like the barometer for the price of groceries, which is about survival. And if we can't afford the egg, so we're leaving behind the old egg, which is the old world of scarcity and lack, and moving into a world of abundance. So we're trying to get Donald Trump to bring the price of eggs down so that we have more abundance. That's how I see it anyway. Any thoughts? Where are we at? Wookie. In response to Bailey, one other way to approach your partner who isn't awake is that they may represent a projection of yourself or part of your story. That's true too. Coco, joyful to be here. My name means bird. Oh, cool. Wookie, Bailey, for example, my wife isn't awake per se, but she has forced me to confront and improve my issues of OCD rooted in my need to control everything because of my fear of failure, rejection. Well, that's very insightful. Thank you. But yeah, like, I mean, obviously, if you're with somebody and you're married to them, because I know the question was about dating, because dating implies that you're in the early stages of your relationship or just about to embark on a relationship. Whereas if you're married to somebody, you're not about to want to just throw that away. It's a very valuable relationship to you. So you would have to examine your partnership and what that means to you and the significance of it. And there's people in your life. They're in your life for a reason, and they're there to help you with your awakening process or your ascension process. And so if you're looking at someone who's not awake, but you still love them and you still want them in your life, like, you would even have children too who aren't awake. So you still have to relate to people who are not awake. So this is why I say it's your decision as to whether you want to continue the relationship. For some people, it's too much to bear. For some people, they can't continue to do it, but you would have to make peace with the fact that they may never wake up, and that's okay to you, because that's part of the process as well of trying to control somebody else, trying to control someone outside of you to make them agree with you or see things the way you do. You have to be okay with that. So, yeah, you're lucky if you have a partner who's as awake as you are, and you're lucky if you aren't dating anybody, if you're single, because it is, you don't have to deal with that as a contrast. And that's part of your process as well, is just determining for yourself how to handle it. So, excellent points. Thanks, Wookie. Joyful egg potential. I already read that. Egg divine feminine. Yeah, agree. Leofi 153. Hello. Fascinating thing about King James scriptures is it seems like a puzzle or riddle that forces the union of the left and right brain. The chasm patterns always point to the center. What chasm patterns? But it is a union between left and right brain. Atlas holds up the world. The top part of the spine is called Atlas. Atlas holding up the world. Easter is synonymous with eggs. Yep. Easter's about fertility and the feminine and Venus. Corona, sun, masculine, egg, feminine. Yep. Coco, which came first, the phoenix or the egg? They both came at the same time. Maybe eggs are becoming scarce to symbolize that humanity may not be able to reproduce in the future like children of men. Austin. I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not sure that's why, but it's a possibility because we do have issues of the men separating from the women or the women separating from the men, like this whole feminist leftist agenda, and also fertility rates are falling. But I would also, I mean, like, I don't really know, like, I haven't delved too deep into that conspiracy, but the fact of the issue of like fertility and having children and everything, like, I just don't really see why that's important issue if the world's coming to an end, like the story is ending. Not as a response to your question, Austin. It's just as like a point in addressing the story that is happening, where the narrative or the story on the world stage, they're making an issue out of the low fertility rates and everything. I don't personally understand the importance of continuing to have children and stuff if the story is coming to an end. Whatever that looks like. It doesn't mean that the world is coming to an end, but the story is. So, something's happening. You can't wake up if you're not asleep. Not everyone dreams. I don't understand your, can you elaborate? Are you saying like, you mean, no, I said the story's coming to an end. But it could mean that the world is coming to an end. Like if the world isn't real anyway, it could mean the world is coming to an end, but the story is coming to an end. Rod, could the egg thing simply be to move us into a digital currency via the problem? Something must be done about inflation. Yeah, it could be. I mean, all of these are possible. It's just, I was after like the esoteric meaning behind it, symbolic meaning, but yeah, like if you look at it in terms of the egg representing a new world, and the digital system is definitely part of the new world. So, yeah, and the new world system of the digital currency and everything is also moved to abundance away from scarcity. So it's definitely part of that story for sure. So, yeah, there's a lot going on with the egg symbolism. So yeah. I wanted to hear more about the chasm patterns in the Bible, but so, okay. Anybody else got anything weird going on? If not, I can wrap this up. I don't know if I had anything else to discuss. If you haven't already, I highly recommend the Heretic Decode because it maps out the story. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later on, but because we're looking at why decoding is important, because it's important in the sense that decoding shows you what's going on. It shows you the story, and the story is what applies to your life. It's the map to get home. So the one story is written in the stars so that you can find your way home. And this decode that I created from the film Heretic, it's embedded in the film Heretic, is incredibly powerful. It reveals the path to get home clearer than any other movie I have come across. So, and maybe that's partly because I now know what the path is, so I can see it more clearly, but it is incredibly powerful. And there's also links to 2 videos that you get with that decode EDOM. It's an ebook and it's illustrated. So you have little drawings in there to bring up the humor because it's kind of a dark movie, but it is transformative. It will change your perspective if you know how to, if you're like reading it and studying it properly and applying it to your life. You have to apply this stuff to your life. You don't just take it in. You have to apply it to your life, digest it, consume it, and contemplate it, and think about it, and apply it to your life. So that's where the transformation comes into place, but also by decoding it yourself, not just Heretic, but anything, decoding your life, decoding movies, TV shows, news, by decoding it yourself, you literally transform yourself. You literally transform how you see yourself and how you behave and how you are and how you view the world. It is a highly transformative process. That's what makes it a legitimate spiritual practice. So Yeah, if you haven't watched my videos, go back and watch my videos. If you haven't become a member, become a member. My links are all in the description box. Where are we at? It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Yeah, exactly. Lo-fi, the egg and the ark, Moses' basket, are probably similar. The mechanisms for crossing over using a vessel. Ark may be limited. Fewer people are entering their arks to cross over. The ark is the Merkabah, and so that's within you. The egg and the ark. I'm not familiar with that story, but Moses' basket. Usually the basket is referring to the bread basket, which is the solar plexus. And so the egg in the solar plexus is kind of like the seed in the solar plexus, the seed that's planted that rises to the head in the raising of the Cristo soil. Coco, I don't get the story coming to an end. Why not? The story is literally coming to an end because we're waking up. We're remembering who we are. So the story is coming to an end. There will be a new story, but are you going to play in it? Are you going to stay here? Or are you going to go home? Rod, I noticed the XRP logo has the as above, so below symbol. Yeah, it does, because XRP is connected to the new world. It's the bridge asset. So it is the connector between worlds. It's the Cairo. XRP is literally Jesus. It's literally Jesus Christ. It is the connector between worlds. So XRP is the cryptocurrency version of Jesus Christ. So that's why so many Christians have been made aware of XRP. XRP is the Cairo, the Phoenix, the symbol of rebirth, the bridge asset. It is the bridge, which is the rainbow bridge, which is the chakra system. It is the delivery system that was planted within you in order for you to ascend. And that is why XRP is the bridge asset. This is something that I have decoded on my second channel, and I have shown it many times being the currency that is going to carry us into the new world. The new world is going to be based on this currency because of because of the symbolism, but also because of what it does. Lo-fi, Leofi, sorry. Day 4 is the center of the, I can't even pronounce that, the chasm of 7 days. Day 5 and day 2 are vessels. Day 4 is the clock and the timepiece that runs above and below. I'm sorry, I can't really make sense of that. It's taken out of context, so I don't know what you're trying to say. It sounds interesting though, but I wish I knew what you were referring to. Looked it up. Chasmus or chasm is a literary structure in which ideas are presented in a mirrored symmetrical pattern. Thank you. Exactly. The entire Bible is a chasm, a framework, for sure. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. A shedding blood, man blood. What? Oh, I see. Okay. It's like, it's a mirror. Yeah. Cool. I mean, that just proves to you that it's showing you the symbols. Like one of the big things is like Jesus talked in parables, right? And the Bible is expressed in allegory. And there's a reason for that, because Jesus repeated over and over again, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. He doesn't speak plainly because he doesn't want everyone to know the truth. Even if he did speak plainly, people wouldn't believe him or accept it, right? And we're talking about whatever, character, real guy, whatever. So the fact that he spoke in parables and allegory is to show you that this world, that everything here is a parable or an allegory or an iteration of something else. There's an original story and everything else is an iteration of it. And so you're supposed to find that hidden story. And he's telling you this. And the Bible itself is constructed to tell you this, to show you the true nature of this reality. It's embedded in everything. So that's what decoding does. Decoding shows you that this is how he communicated. This is how we communicate. This is how everything is structured. It's embedded in everything. And it just shows you the true story that's embedded in everything. And that's what we're trying to get back to. It's our home. Our home is the one story. It's the true story. It's the story of true love. It is the Garden of Eden. It's paradise. It's the kingdom of heaven. It's all of that. And it proves to you what the path is. It proves to you how to get home. It proves to you this is all one story and that you got to go home. This emphasizes the justice of divine retribution. The punishment mirrors the crime. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's the same as law of assumption, right? So it's like, people call it karma, but basically it's like as within, so without. Whatever you believe is what you manifest. The ripple effect, ripple being linked to XRP. Like the ripple is what started the world. So that's why XRP is the foundation of the new world. Joyful, the soul has been given its own ears to hear. The soul has been given its own ears to hear things mind does not understand. Rumi. Exactly. Coco, the Bible is great at telling the truth. I don't get how people misinterpret it. Yeah, there's a lot of things in the Bible that are pretty straightforward. Like Jesus flat out telling you that it's allegory, flat out telling you that you are God, flat out telling you that the Father wants to give you the kingdom. There's some pretty obvious, blatant truths in there that get misinterpreted somehow. But again, that just goes back to what I was talking about earlier about warping things to fit your ideology, to fit the story that you have constructed in your head, your belief system. So you will filter things out, you will ignore things, and you will warp things in order to fit your belief system, and that's why you're not seeing clearly. So that's why people misinterpret it. Joyful, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. The Kabbalion. Well, yeah, well said. Bailey, Amazon, Fire, Google Earth, Apple, Air, Ripple, Water. Yep, for sure. Leophi, exactly. The 7 days are a fractal for the entire Bible and the external tabernacle, but it also points to the internal tabernacle. The final tabernacle is the human vessel. Yeah, so like that's what I shows. Like everything's a fractal. Everything is represented in everything else. Everything is telling the one story. The Bible's telling the one story, and your body tells the one story. Your life tells the one story. There's only one story and iterations of it. So yeah. And like I said, it's not said more clearly than in Heretic, and it's incredibly powerful. So I'm going to leave it here. Thanks so much for participating. We yapped for 2 hours, or at least I did, but thank you so much for contributing to the chat. Your comments were fantastic. I really appreciate your participation, and I appreciate everyone who gave this video a thumbs up. Thank you for participating on that, because I didn't even have to ask this time. And I hope you have a really great week. So hopefully it's getting warm where you are and you're enjoying the weather. Got cold here, but I'm going to go out for a walk. Enjoy. I will see you soon. Bye for now.